I actually have anxiety about getting exhausted. So I may be a little worse than most people on this, like, but I am confident that most people experience this.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, man. I mean, I think that, like they said, there's the old adage that fatigue makes cowards of us all. And, there's nothing worse than, it's one thing if you're playing basketball or something and you get tired, you're like, damn, dude, I'm probably not going to be able to score as much. I'm not going to get as many rebounds, everything else. In jiu-jitsu, if you get tired and you make mistakes, you're getting choked, you're getting your arm cranked. So it's a little bit more sinister if you get worn out. And it's a scary feeling, even though you're training with your friends, or even if you're competing where, hey, look, I'm likely not going to get murdered here in a tournament. I'll just have to tap. It's still a scary experience. It's like, dude, I'm exhausted. Actually, I'm claustrophobic. I'm getting beat up. It's horrible. Yeah.
Do you want to know what my worst fear in life used to be? My genuine, if you ask me what the worst thing that could ever happen to me was, this is it.
What's that?
Okay. It used to be getting completely 100% exhausted in an MMA fight.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah.
Okay. Because you're getting punched then.
Yeah.
And fucked up.
Yeah.
And guess what? It happened. I got to experience that, actually. I had a really bad weight cut on a fight. It was a title fight with 1 week's notice. Okay. And I won the fight. But I had a moment near the end there in the third round where I was so tired I couldn't even sit in the stool because I wouldn't be able to stand up. And the guy was not tired because he was an actual professional. He was like 15-1 or 14-1. And this was my third MMA fight. So he had a shitload of experience over me. And he was just beating the shit out of me. He's punching me. I got kneed in the head like 7 times, unanswered, full on tie clinch, boom, fucking kneeing me because I was too tired to even react to it, So that I got to experience that. It didn't make the fear go away.
That's what I was actually that was going to be my follow-up question, is whether, because like there's people that talk about exposure therapy, how if you come face to face with the things that you're so paranoid about.
Exposure therapy actually is, as far as I know, it's debunked. It's bullshit.
Really?
It actually just increases your fear of the thing for the most part. Yeah.
Wow.
You can't just take someone and put them in a room with spiders until they're not afraid anymore. They will literally be fucking traumatized of spiders for the rest of their life.
That makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah. So I was curious whether or not that had any impact on helping you, but it sounds like no. So no, that's a terrible feeling, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough getting tired in jiu-jitsu, but if you start, if we're talking MMA where you can get punched and kicked, or even worse, a street fight, man. Like if you get jumped on the street and you're exhausted, now it's like, dude, like you said earlier, you're on concrete. There's maybe multiple attackers. You could die for real. So with that said, what do you feel? Obviously, you do sprints. Sprints is something that you subscribe to very, very, very heavily. Is there anything else that you recommend people do out there to really get their cardio for jiu-jitsu to the next level?
You have, and again, every time I start talking about specific things like this, like there's a lot of different ways to get to the peak of a mountain.
Sure.
Okay. Which is going to be like peak physical, sport ability. Okay. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. And there's a lot of them that are both simultaneously valid. You could take this exercise, aerodynamic bike sprints, and replace that with hill sprints. And it's going to do the same thing, except the only difference is going to be the muscle group that's getting fucked up. So I do anaerobic cardio and aerobic cardio, and I have different circuits for that. One day, so I try to do cardio 4 times a week. One day will be hill sprints. Okay. And that'll be, it doesn't have to be a hill sprint. It could be a sprint, but I have a hill next to the gym that I measured out. That's like 130 meters from a sign to a sign. So I get to go up and down that motherfucker. And that's one day. And then, because I can't do too much running stuff because I have big calves and they get shin splints very easily if I'm not on my toes 24/7 when I'm running. I just can't do too many sprints. I can't do long distance running at all. So I have to replace that with a 40-minute cardio circuit, which is like 1 minute rounds of an exercise. Like I have gloves on. So 1 minute's like sprint drills with bird holding mitts, into frog jumps for a minute, or into box jumps or something like that. So it's like it goes intense exercise, maintenance, intense exercise, maintenance. So it's kind of like high intensity interval training, but I'm doing it at a certain pace that I can continue to do. So I'll have 10 exercises and I'll do that whole thing 4 times without stopping. So it'll be a 40-minute workout. And that's just my version of aerobic cardio that I do. Okay. Aerobic cardio is going to have a lot to do with your ability to recover. Okay. And then, and this is stuff I've had explained to me. And I actually went to college for sports science, and a lot of people just don't know that, but
cool.
Your anaerobic systems are like how long you can go before you can't continue to go, so if you think about giving yourself like a bigger gas tank, That's your kind of, I'm really dumbing this down, by the way, but that's kind of your anaerobic systems. And then your aerobics. So like if you're doing something and this is draining this fast, your aerobic system is like, it's going to be draining slower because you're actually recovering while you're draining it. And they both interplay off of each other. And you want to find ways to do that. And there's just so many different ways to do that. I can just completely take certain exercises out and replace them with these ones. And it's functionally the same to me. You do want to try to target muscle groups you're going to be using actively in jiu-jitsu, but that's just think about what muscle groups you use. Think about what exercise you would want to improve those muscle groups. And if you don't know, there's a billion fitness experts on the internet. Trust me, they're going to be in the comments. And a lot of people can just come up with these workouts themselves. That's why I generally don't give people specific workouts, because those fitness experts love to attack. Okay. So I usually don't give people specific exercises. I tell them they need to be doing something for these, though.
That's great advice, man. Well, first of all, I didn't know that you went to college for this, man. This is really awesome. So here's a question.
Well, I dropped out to move in a gym.
Well,
so
hey, dude, you were there, man. You were there and you learned. That's what matters. So let me ask you a question then. When it comes to the anaerobic system, and when it comes to having a limit to how far you can go before your body just completely gives out, there's a long-standing argument that your brain is always going to quit before your body does, and that the human body is capable of significantly more than we give it credit for. When you're digging deep in jiu-jitsu, when you're really exhausted, when it's the last round or the last match of a tournament and you just feel like you got nothing left, do you find, generally speaking, that's true, that your body can push further than you think, even when you're convinced that it's over?
No, it can. 100% it can. Yeah. And there's a lot of science behind that too. Like one of the big benefits you do get from doing the two different types of cardio the way you do is you get like a huge increase in your fucking willpower, because a lot of times you don't want to be doing this. You're already fucking tired and exhausted. You want to quit and you just keep going. Okay. That's your default mode. And that's going to apply directly to your jiu-jitsu match. You know what I mean? And I've noticed this in myself. Okay, that's why I was really proud of the Almeida fight that I did, because I was fucking really tired when we stood back up. We were 10 minutes in, and then I was still forcing myself to shoot and wrestle and be aggressive, and I was proud of myself for that. But that was because I was really pushing my cardio, and I was really pushing my conditioning and my training. I was in not expert level shape like I want to be, because I was plagued with injuries around that time. So when I'm injured, there are certain things I just have to avoid doing because they'll exasperate the injury. And sometimes that's hard cardio. I can't do frog jumps when my back's fucked up, So yeah, I do think there's a huge link there. And the way I've had this explained to me, and again, I think these motherfuckers are going to attack me in the comments for this, but willpower isn't, a lot of people think it's like a muscle, and that's a decent way of looking at it, but there is a chemical. And I could be, again, expect me to be attacked for this, but as far as I know, there is a chemical that is massively responsible for willpower. Okay. And it's a chemical you can deplete. And that's why stores set up their shopping sections the way they do, because they're constantly bombarding you and forcing you to make the decision actively to not, fall for this impulse buy as you go through the store. So then by the end of the route, you have been bombarded so many times that muscle and that chemical is depleted, and you're more likely to be influenced and buy something on impulse.
Wow.
So it's something you can strengthen, and it's something that you do naturally strengthen by doing hard workouts or doing long training rounds and forcing yourself to or Shark Tank rounds. Again, there's a lot of ways to get to the peak of the hill.